Twitch might be starting to see some trouble. The live stream giant is obviously the king of live streaming. It's where everyone goes to watch live content. It's shifting slightly, YouTube taking a little bit of that market share from them. But at the end of the day, Twitch is still number one, and by a pretty large margin. I mean, we can see right here, looking at total hours watched for 2022 in Q2, Twitch owned 76% of those hours, YouTube at 15, Facebook at 7.9. But the bigger stat is total hours streamed. Obviously, it is absolutely the vast majority Twitch, 92%, with YouTube at 3.7, Facebook at 3.6. But that's the big difference maker, is there's so much volume and competition on Twitch that the streamers on YouTube are actually getting better value, and even the streamers on Facebook are getting better value. But if we just look at these two charts here, you can see majority of streamers are on Twitch, but the majority of views or the majority of hours watched are still on Twitch, but it's a bigger share for something like YouTube. YouTube gaming much smaller with streaming competition, but there's a pretty good chunk there. 15% is not bad for YouTube just really getting in the game. And if we look at Q3 of 2022, you can see Twitch, this actually total hours watched on Twitch was pretty good. From like 2020, had the massive rise, and it sank a little bit, but nothing crazy, and honestly is still higher than what it was in 2020. And Twitch grew to 78.6% of the market for hours watched, which is a pretty big move up, or a slightly move up, 76 to 78. Pretty good for the number one platform. But if we go down to YouTube here, you can see the same kind of effect in 2020, a massive pump up, and they just got started, and a big drop off. So YouTube actually lower than the hours watched in 2020, but they have a bigger market share of the total hours, representing 16.2% of that market, which is up from the 15.4. So slightly up, not as much as Twitch, but slightly gained some market share there. And the big loser of this was Facebook, where you can see Facebook, obviously 2020 had a pretty steady growth up, and it absolutely fell down very hard. Now they only have 5.3% of the market compared to their 7.9% they had before. So that's the big streaming platforms, right? The Twitch, YouTube, Facebooks of the world, the big platforms that own this space and have the majority of not only hours watched, hours streamed. You know, people are going to go to these guys to watch content. But there is a new person entering the space, and that's Trainwrecks with his platform, Kick, that he started. And if you don't know a lot about Kick, the big thing about it is that it is backed by stake.com, which is obviously an online casino. I think stake is barred or banned from Twitch. You're not allowed to like use stake on Twitch. So they end up going with their own platform, and this is kind of a funnel for them to take people from Kick into stake, is what it seems like. Is that absolutely the case? I don't know. Maybe that's part of their business plan. But if we look at Kick, this is their website, and it is basically a Twitch clone. They've actually changed it slightly from what it used to be. It used to literally look identical to Twitch. Now they don't have the rotating banner like Twitch does. They changed the dots to green, so slight little changes to make it their own. But at the end of the day, it's still a Twitch clone, and you can see by looking at the categories that slots and casino is the number one category on Kick. So obviously, being a casino and gambling backed thing, this is the push they're making. And that's why I think it's a much bigger plan to look at Kick and think that they're making it kind of a funnel to try and get people to stake, to gamble, because that's where they're going to make their money. And they can afford to lose money on Kick because they'll make it up in the gambling sector. But I don't know, maybe that's just a conspiracy and that it's not what their intent is at all, but it's just what it really seems like. But Trainwrecks announced a pretty interesting thing for Kick to offer that maybe it changes the live streaming space, where he put out a tweet longer talking about it, saying the life of a Twitch streamer is working an impossible number of hours trying to find success for all but the largest creators. These hours go unrewarded. Twitch ignores small and mid-sized creators and gives their budget to a select small group of streamers via huge paid contracts, which I guess is true, but it's kind of a selective way of thinking about it, right? For a lot of people, streaming on Twitch would be a dream job, and people put in those hours to eventually get to that point. But at the end of the day, Twitch isn't the platform you go to grow on. I think that's pretty obvious. A lot of people know discoverability on Twitch basically is non-existent. It's the top streamers, they get the views, and then nothing really happens for anyone underneath them. People don't really migrate on Twitch compared to even YouTube, a huge video servicing platform. People spend a lot of time on YouTube watching videos, and they have an algorithm to recommend you more content, more videos, and that doesn't necessarily only benefit the top guys. There's people with millions of subs that no one's ever heard of because they're just not in their sphere, and the algorithm keeps you involved. There's people with a couple hundred subs, a couple thousand subs that people love watching because the algorithm recommends them that content. So discoverability on YouTube is much better than on Twitch. But the big change that Trainwrecks seems to be thinking about implementing here is that he's been working on a program that takes the budget of what would normally only be used to acquire the largest of creators and distribute it through a formula that generates an hourly income for all streamers. Now, off the bat, sounds good. Everyone would like this to have a guaranteed income, right? Have an hourly wage for streaming. I don't know how viable that would be. Like, how are you going to make that money to guarantee someone hours? And the way he says it, obviously, is taking the money that would have been for signing someone, right? Giving someone a $2 million per year deal for 3 years to bring them over to the platform. Instead, taking that money and distributing it across the platform for everybody. It's not really a sustainable model. Like, even if you went to Twitch and you took the Pokimane, the XQCs of the world, and took their contracts for Twitch and distributed it across everyone on Twitch who's streaming and said, you'll get a hourly rate for every hour you stream on the platform, depending on your views and stuff. I don't think it would be that much money. It'd probably be less than $1 per hour if you're lucky to get to other people who are streaming, and it doesn't make that big of a difference. It's not that much money to go around for everybody, which is why these platforms sign the big guys. They want their traffic on their site. Like YouTube signs Ludwig. He brings a ton of traffic with him. YouTube signed a bunch of people and is taking a kind of a different approach, signing like groups and stuff and bringing them over, trying to bring all of those fans over and move the volume over. And it has worked. We see YouTube took more rev share out of the market for hours watched on streaming. So maybe YouTube's approach is working. But for this option, you have the creator program is simple. You get paid for each hour you stream. A formula will pay each streamer based on the number of hours you stream, a flat rate based on Kick's advertising CPMs, the average viewers you have, and the viewer demographics and engagement. So just looking at this, I just don't know where the money's coming from to think of this. Like, obviously, it's got to come from stake, just pouring money in to try and grow this, so it's going to be a money loser. But to do this sustainably, where is the money going to come from, right? If you want to guarantee someone saying you're going to make $5 an hour, which is less than minimum wage still, but if you're going to say that and say you'll make $5 an hour streaming, we guarantee you that, plus you keep all of your subscriptions, all your donations, and you keep 90% of your advertising revenue, then where's the money coming for that money per hour that you're promising? I think this is a very interesting thing to implement. It sounds amazing. It sounds really good. And maybe if it's pulled off right, it can change the way kind of Twitch and YouTube operates with live streaming. But I just don't see a sustainable way to do this without taking on the gambling portion, without funneling people to stake to gamble. That's their cash cow, and using some of that money and using it as a money loser to keep the site around, to keep the funnel working. So I guess we'll see if this changes the streaming world, if this changes how Twitch operates or YouTube operates, or how much money they can offer to people. But I just don't see a sustainable way of them doing it without the casino cash cow involved. And if that business wasn't there or gets, completely outlawed, outregulated and stuff, maybe Kick just shuts down altogether, because I see this as a vehicle to get people to stake and not as a live streaming platform that they're actually trying to build up to compete with the likes of Twitch and YouTube. But maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe they have some next gen tech and next gen thoughts, and they're just going to take over the world, be the next big streaming platform, and offer everyone hourly wages to stream on their site. If they could do it, good for them. And if it changes the scene for the better, more competition is always better. So that would be good. But that's going to do it for this video. As always, don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in my next video.